Pound.
In a world,
Shut the hell up.
where Carolina Panthers fans
Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
have an insatiable thirst
I need to see a lot more of that shit going forward.
for Panthers news and opinions.
All my C3 brethren from the C3 Legion.
Only one podcast roars ferociously.
The longest running Panthers podcast on the internet.
It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Oh, Greg, I owe y'all $100, man.
The Carolina Panthers are bringing back Andy Dalton. He's not cheap, but he may bring a little stability, a little confidence to that, or I guess not a dogfight in a quarterback room, but stability. Andy Dalton, well, typo here. Andy Dalton resigns. No, he resigns to be a Carolina Panther.
Don't
worry. I tell you this, the professor, I know I might be grammar Nazi in some ways, but I remember writing one of my early stories for CarolinaCatChronicles.com, and I put resigns like this, and the Reddit people let me know straight up.
Play on words, brother. That's all it is. Just a little poetry.
Now I get it. I get it. Oh, we got it. The new league year is here. Franchise tags are around the corner. We're in a 48-hour period. We'll start to see some of those franchise tags come about. Well, the Carolina Panthers, do they have anybody worth franchise tagging, or are they chasing players who may get franchise tagged? We're going to look at potential free agent acquisitions, some of the needs that the Carolina Panthers are facing. And did you know that football may be going to Netflix? We'll see how hard in the paint they go. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. I do it each Tuesday with my wheelman, Cody Lack. How are you, my friend?
Tony, don't you know we love to start a show with everyone's favorite topic? That's right, news about the backup quarterback, baby, and re-signing him, no less. I'm sure this won't be at all controversial amongst Panther fans. I'm sure we'll find something to fight about, but we have some news around T. Higgins. We have some news around some free agent signings. We have Cam Newton's response to Steve Smith. That, and Tony, you know, we're going to do this with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them. We have Joey the Blind Panther. What's up, brother? The brand ambassador, Diesel Skills, Jake the Snake, our man Kyle, Charlotte Sports One. What's up, bro? Dan Floyd, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, These Knots, Nirvash, Thomas DeVries, The Hope Dealer, and your bastard son, White Chocolate Espresso. Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Jump in the conversation. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe. Be a part of the C3 community. It is a fantastic place to be on Tuesdays and every day of the week as we get ready. There's new hope in the world. It's a new season, new dreams. We're looking up. CK, I saw an ad that said you could buy PSLs for $21 a month.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
You got to keep in mind. CK. Yeah, that's a gimmick. One of those things. It's a gimmick. It is. You got to keep in mind you're still paying for the season tickets on top of it, and that's $21 per seat. So if you're buying 4 seats, you're talking about $90 basically.
There's got to be a deposit, something too.
No, nothing like that. It's nothing along those lines. But it is. It's still not exactly. Something. It's a luxury still. But man, I'm just happy. It's happy to be here with you fellas. It's one of those nights where it feels like seemingly nothing to talk about, but I think similar to last week, we're probably going to find a way to extend this out for a little longer than it really needs to be. So I'm just happy to be talking about Panthers football still, and in the midst of a dry spell of news.
All right, guys. Let's just go ahead and party like it's 2025 because it's a new league year. C3 Panthers podcast is ready for it because last year was tough to begin, a decent end, but now it's time to look ahead. Andy Dalton resigns to be Carolina Panthers backup quarterback. Cody. What happened
QB is
today?
supposed to rhyme, Man, also, let's just jump right into this. The Carolina Panthers have re-signed backup quarterback Andy Dalton to a 2-year, $8 million deal that includes $6 million guaranteed and has a max value of $10 million. Panthers quarterback Bryce Young has developed a close relationship with Dalton, and the two continue to grow and work together. This is him re-signing at Bank of America Stadium, him and the family. This is now where he ranks amongst average backup quarterbacks in the NFL, courtesy of Edward Salamingo on Twitter at Panthers Analyst. Andy Dalton's new $4 million a year contract with the Panthers is in range of market value to a good deal, the top of which is now Sam Darnold, who the Vikings have to make a decision on. But you see some of these other players, man. I mean, Marcus Mariota, Tyrod Taylor, and Andy Dalton now has some security here in Carolina. And I think one of the things that was mentioned as to why they were willing to do this for Andy was how well he handled that situation last year. Him being named the starter after Bryce was benched, how he was able to come in and really provide a spark against the Las Vegas Raiders. We were able to sort of rebound off the back of that performance. Things go sideways. Again, he gets in this some Final Destination type car accident that sees Bryce Young installed back as the starter for the Panthers, and the rest is history. I do think they like having that veteran presence around Bryce in the locker room to be able to push him and continue to have Bryce be and play his best. I understand that a lot of people think that maybe this is a little bit unnecessary to even be spending this amount of money on the backup when you do need so many defensive players. But overall, boys, I think this is a good investment. It's an insurance policy to make sure that Bryce plays well, and that if he doesn't, we have someone that can run the offense at least to a competent level of quarterbacking. So I'm not going to freak out about this. I think it's a pretty good move to bring the Red Rifle back.
Darren Gant tweeted 4 hours ago, only 25 quarterbacks in NFL history have thrown for more yards or touchdowns than Andrew Gregory Dalton. Roll that around in your head for a second. Darren, a company man. He is a company man. CK, your thoughts on bringing back the Red Rifle as the backup quarterback for the Carolina Panthers?
Listen, it's a perfect fit. I think that he's already got an understanding of the offense. There's no sense in bringing in another player that is going to fuel speculation of is Bryce going to be the benched if he has a poor performance in lieu of a rookie quarterback that they decide to draft in the 5th round this year or something crazy along those lines. I think this makes the most sense. Let's not leave anything to chance, and let's lock up a guy who's clearly been an asset for Bryce Young, and go from there. I mean, I don't think this is out of the range of realistic. I mean, you're not talking about a crazy amount of money, and the difference that this $4 million he's making this year is going to, I guess technically it's what, $8 million guaranteed. Is that how it was? With $10 million potential incentives. That's not going to be the difference in somebody who's a big name coming to Carolina or not, to be honest with you.
I like the idea of this is just not trying to upset the apple cart at this point. To me, this says is that the Carolina Panthers, if something happens next year to Bryce Young, whether it be an injury or whatever, is that they don't want to throw the season away entirely. Another thing is that it does bring you a continuity going forward. And last is that Andy Dalton resigns to knowing what he is in Carolina at this point. That kind of idea that he could be a starter. I mean, that's too much. So, I mean, if anything, a slight overpay if you want to look at the money for a backup quarterback, but it does give you some stability going forward. Cody, what we got next?
I was putting up a poll real quick to gauge the audience. Did the Carolina Panthers overspend re-signing Andy Dalton? But yeah, let's jump back into the show. So based on that, us re-signing Andy, once again, courtesy of Panthers analyst on Twitter, he put forth the idea of a checklist. Now going forward, what are some of the things that the Panthers need to look to sort of chip away at now that we have basically secured more of a quarterback locker room? You know, we've built to that quarterback room. He says number one wide receiver, if available. He mentions 2 high versatile safeties, seeing as how all of our safeties are free agents this year. He says, and just a couple of different tiers that he ranks them on. But I felt like it was being a good talking point. What is some of the higher priorities on top of the Panthers shopping list as we continue to look into free agency and who might be available for us?
Gosh, what do you think? I mean, are we going position group? Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, just position group. Like what's, if you're going to the store, to the free agent store, what are the most necessary ingredients to building a competitive Panthers football team in 2025, right? In my opinion, we have to have D-line. We have to build up on the defensive line. Sure. We have to go and get more safeties, which is why I think Ed put that on his list. We have to invest on this defense, and I feel like there's a few free agent players out there that could really help towards this. But I'll let y'all go first while I sort of produce a little.
Look, is that the Panthers need several additions via free agency and the draft, right? So I think you're going to have to make a defensive front addition in free agency and the draft.
Agreed.
I think you're going to have to add a safety. I don't even know that they have one on the roster, to be honest. And do you count Mike Jackson, bringing him back as a free agent at corner? Because you're going to need something there as well. I don't know how the Panthers solve all their issues through one means, whether it's free agency and the draft or the draft. They have to do both, CK. I think, to me, I'm more interested in dipping into free agency for a safety and a wide receiver than I am for the 2 premium paid positions of defensive end and wide receiver. I think you got a budget somewhere. And the Panthers are also going to have to find a way to continue at center as well. So there are a lot of needs here. I think in free agency, you got to balance getting some, not discount players, but budget positions. And then drafting a defensive end or D tackle in the first round.
Yeah, I think that when you have the likes of Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt at the tackle position, I think you have the luxury of not needing an elite level center. So I think signing even Brady Christensen or Cade Mays back to the squad to let them run it back and see if they can continue to play this, continue this high level play the offensive line had. Cade Mays looked great towards the end of the year last year in that center position. So we're gonna. I think you can. There are certain things, like you said, we can be budget on. Because there's other pieces around them that will allow them to pick up the pieces. The things that you don't have that luxury on are things like, safeties, right? You don't have that luxury with cornerbacks because those guys are on an island. So I think that some of those guys need to be back from a cohesiveness of the unit. We got to also keep in mind, we do have Derek Brown coming back. So the defensive line is an issue. Don't get me wrong. But I think that you add a few pieces, it's not as bad as it looks on paper because of the additions of Derek Brown back to that unit. Linebacker, I think, is one of those positions we have to be intentional on. We cannot continue to live life in this era without having either a great outside linebacker that has the abilities to rush the quarterback. But we cannot ignore having a captain of this defense, which I don't feel like any of us really believe we have right now, unless Shaq Thompson decides to come back. And I still don't know that he is a game changer, but he would be what Cam would consider a game manager, which I don't think is a bad thing when you're talking about coming from the worst or worst defense in the NFL history. I'm so thirsty and hungry for a guy to be able to just be somebody that people want to talk about week in and week out about how incredible he is. You know what I mean? I just need that, because we've always had that. If you're a Carolina Panthers fan, it's been something that has been a staple in this defense. Every single defense we've had for years until the past 5-6 years.
And it really seemed like Trevin Wallace started to flash some of that level of play this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd love to see that from him. But, dude, even if you do think that Shaq Thompson resigns or comes back to the Panthers, he's not the answer for the future. And we know for a fact that the Panthers have been so terrible on run defense literally since Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis left the backfield of this defense. And the fact that we haven't replaced him and replaced both of those dudes and haven't been able to stop the run since then, I'm sorry, those two things are correlated to me. The inside linebacker position, you're going to have to fix. You know that be the draft or free agency, you're going to come away with another pass rusher this year. You have to. EJ Wanham, when he did finally get on the field last year, turned it on in a big way, and you remembered why Dan Morgan signed him in the first place. Clowney at the end started to look a little bit more aggressive, like he could make some things happen. You have a decent core if you add Derek Brown. To me, this defense is the most important thing that you're going to have to fix moving forward. And how they decide to do that is going to be interesting, because they could decide to put more of a value on corner and decide to bring back Mike Jackson. Or maybe they do decide to go and get the guy that used to live in Charlotte, or is from Charlotte and played in Green Bay. His name escapes me right now. Played at Louisville. Played for the Packers. Jair Alexander. So if they wanted a big-time free agent defensive signing, they could go corner, they could go defensive line. There's a lot of different avenues that they could choose to attack on defense, and it'll be interesting to see how they go about doing it.
I think you get more for your money if you go safety, and like if you go safety, center, linebacker in free agency, and then you go defensive front in the draft. And I mean, maybe this isn't the year that you get a big name at wide receiver and you put more on Xavier Legette. And look, Adam Thielen's even hinted around that he needs a little contract renegotiation given his performance. So Panthers have a lot of needs. I know there's excitement there. I think the roster will get better by default in a sense. You got money, you got draft picks. I just caution Panther fans wanting it to move the needle in a day.
Let's not
move the needle.
Let's not pretend we're in a situation where we're going to have a Houston Texans type turnaround. It's just not going to happen. The Houston Texans did a sell the farm, getting rid of Deshaun Watson. They set themselves up for a pretty successful transition, and they weren't nearly dealing with the turnover we are. And they had a lot of core pieces that were necessary, who now in hindsight turned out to be incredible pieces, in the likes of I love him as wide receiver, Nico Collins. And so we are not that team right now. We don't have a young enough core outside of a few players to where we're going to be we need to be concerned about being a contender this year. I think we can be surprising, and I think we could give some teams a run for their money and maybe make it to the playoffs. But if right now, having optimism that we're going to be anything more than a 9-win team, if that, would be really, really praying for some magic at that point in time.
All right, what do we got next, my man?
So I think before we start to key in on some of the free agent players that we want to bring to Carolina, we need to decide what we're going to do with some of the guys that we have to make a decision on right now. And this is from Schuler Callahan from Sports Illustrated. And he put together a tier list of players that we should let walk, that we could stand to sign or let go, or players that should be a priority to re-sign. This is based on some of his opinions, and I felt it would be a good conversation starter as we break down some of the guys that, like I said, we have to make decisions on. The dudes that we've been talking about is Mike Bourne. So this is his list of players that we should potentially just let walk. This is Mike Boone, David Moore, Felipe Franks, Deshaun Williams, Cam Gill, Mike Jackson, which is curious. Mike Jackson, Caleb Farley, Lonnie Johnson, and Nick Scott. There aren't many surprises amongst this group.
Except for Mike Jackson, dude. I think he's like a guy that I want on the team.
I think you have to let him come back. I would even be willing to say David Moore, because he was clutch in many of those those games where third down, he was just the guy you go to in many of those cases. As long as it's a team friendly deal, I'm not willing to, sell the farm to bring him back. But, I'd like to, the core of this wide receiver group with an additional, game changer, I would love to have back. So David Moore would be one that I think we should at least entertain bringing back.
I'll be disappointed if the Panthers don't find a way to bring Mike Jackson back.
100%.
He can't unless he's commanding some crazy amount of money, paying him $2 million more than you would to. Then I guess that's get away with.
That's the question, right? Would you be able to replace him easier than it would be to pay him? Which one is more expensive long term? Would you rather allocate draft capital or free agent dollars to re-sign him?
Yeah, and so you could imagine doing that so you could bring back two of these busters rather than just one player. I'm more about getting the one player that I believe in that contributes to the team, and then allowing other players through the draft, through some of the young bucks coming in and contributing, then trying to keep kind of mid or below mid players because you need to fill out a roster. And Mike Jackson played. He played like he was the best player on the field a lot of times for the Panthers in those games. Yeah.
No, dude. PFF had him ranked higher than JC Horn, I believe, but PFF also kind of sucks. I don't know, man. Like
he played the whole season. He played the whole season, and he made plays when other people weren't. Is that you pair him with JC Horn, you got your corners, and then it's time like, hey, let's get one safety, try to have a young player play the other safety position, and let's focus from there. What you want to do it so you can bring back Ian Thomas on a 1-year deal?
Right.
And that is if you overpay one player by $3 million, it gets you two trash players.
In mind, though, if you want to pay JC Horn, are you really also paying Mike Jackson? Like, it kind of seems like either or.
He's a different level, a different tier of corner, though. Is he's not going to command top corner money. He's going to command solid money. But you could get away with a 3-year deal with him, and he'll take it. I think.
Yeah.
For how much a year?
I don't know. We'll have to I guess I'd have to start looking at some of the average second tier corners, but is I don't know, 10 million, 7 million a year. Dude, look, you're going to pay an aging wide receiver up to $13 million, and you get a corner that is playing every game and 27 years old.
It's times like this when it fucking sucks that the Panthers are never viewed as the team that's a couple players away from being a contender. Because if that was the truth, then yeah, maybe Jackson and a few of these other guys would be more willing to take something of a pay cut to come here. I don't know if Carolina is viewed that way yet. So maybe Jackson wants to stay here, and maybe we do re-sign him too. But maybe another team is looking to make a better deal than the Panthers are looking to match at a time when they're also looking to sign J.C. Horn. That just sort of muddles the water for me a little bit.
I'd like to remind everyone that the C3 Panthers podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. This basketball season, it's hockey season. Go Canes, baby. And did you see
USA.
Did you see USA throwing it down, baby?
When we beat the shit out of the 51st state, yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, literally.
What's up?
Literally. This basketball season, this hockey season is when you can make some money on your favorite stars scoring buckets or scoring goals or putting Canadians down in the ice. We're alley-ooping this opportunity to win money from watching sports with Underdog. To play, all you got to do is choose whether a player will go higher or lower. Points, assists. Hey, that works for hockey and basketball, right? And all you got to do is pair a couple of players, and all of a sudden you could be making money. You can turn $1 into $1,000 with your knowledge of hoops or the puck. Millions have done it. They're 5-star reviews. You can go on right now to Underdog Fantasy, and you can get a late-night tip-off of Dawson Garcia playing let's go college basketball right now. You can get LeBron James versus Charlotte on Wednesday, 23.5 points. Will you go higher or lower? All you got to do is pick a couple of players, but you got to do this to really help, to maximize your winnings. You use the promo code C3P. That's C3P, and you can unlock up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using the promo code C3 to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with the promo code C3P. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly on your first deposit. You must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Cody Lack, what do we got next?
Yes, sir. Next up on the list, that he has these dubbed as basically players that we can stand to sign or re-sign, but it also gets to the heart of this center conversation like we were talking about earlier. It says, so these are some of the players that are in that tier, according to Schuler. This is Austin Corbett, Brady Christensen, Tommy Tremble, Ian Thomas, Jordan Fuller, and Eddie Pinheiro. So it says the Panthers, I assume, will bring back one of the two centers. Or, dang, I can't even read this shit.
Hold on. The Panthers, I got it. I pulled full screen up. The Panthers, I assume, will bring back one of the two centers and one of the two tight ends. Both, ? Unlikely. Corbett would be a perfect fit for this offense, the way he plays the game, and embodies what it means to be a Panther. Unfortunately, the injuries are a major concern, so if Carolina can afford a replacement, it may be wise, or he said it might be wise, to let Corbett walk. As far as the two tight ends are concerned, I'd lean towards Tommy Tremble being the guy Dan Morgan brings back. Then again, Ian Thomas seemingly has 9 lives with the organization, so he might be back. He's like a might guy. This is a might dude. May be back. If the Panthers let them walk, or if they sign elsewhere, they'll manage. Pinheiro took a small step back in 2024, and two sides didn't appear to be on the same page in terms of contract. I expect the Carolina Panthers to let Pinheiro walk and move forward with Matthew Wright. You know what? I've hated every kicker the Panthers have had since we let Harrison Butker go. I think that I just have Butker-nitis. I don't know what it is. It's like I've got Butker hurt. I'm still upset about Graham Gano coming back. I'm still upset about this. Like, we went through other kickers that I almost liked even better. I don't know if I like.
This is why
that haircut, bro.
Look, people made fun of me because I was all about the thicker kicker. But this was my point the entire time. Eddie Pinheiro was never going to be good enough for you to want to hitch your wagon to him long term as the kicker. And now we don't even know if he's going to be on the team long term. Why not give the younger, bigger leg guy a chance to cultivate that talent and build up something while you have the opportunity to? Because now it looks like you're going to be doing the whole kicker carousel again, all over again, be it Eddie Pinheiro or someone else. Like, does anyone want to make Eddie Pinheiro one of the higher paid kickers in the NFL? You know they're going to justify, because of his numbers and some loophole bullshit, that they're going to try and say that he's worth it. And I'm sorry, it just isn't. The dude is the least clutch that I think you could want from a kicker, man. I know he's made some, but he's not dependable.
Can we confirm there's no massage therapists that have any quarrel with Eddie P?
I tell you, there's one person that's got a quarrel with him, and that is Barber.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
It's listen, the Eddie P. So here's the thing. The dude did his job for the most part. This year he took a step back. But no, I don't personally have the mindset that he deserves to be a top 10 paid kicker in the league. When you can't put the game on his shoulders at a 60-yarder,
or a 55-yarder. Let's be clear with that. A 55-yard. He's outside of 50. He is uncertain. Number one.
I want to make this like a very clear narrative here. When you saw the playoffs, there were a lot of games that were decided or influenced by the kickers being spot on. This year was not a narrative driven by kickers missing field goals that lost games, right? And when you look at the best teams, they were money, 60 yards, 60. Even though many of these teams went for it on fourth down in a lot of these cases, when they needed the field goal, you put trust in that field goal kicker and they made it happen. I don't think that you pay a guy like Eddie Pinheiro. Eddie Pinheiro would be a great person that you would sign if your kicker got hurt. Like if you were dealing with what the Chiefs dealt with last year, having Harrison Butker get hurt, like Eddie Pinheiro would be the guy that fills in and does a stand-up job, but you're not going to rely on him to make those 60-yarders, right? And so he's good at what he is good at, and I think that's fair to say. But he is not an elite kicker in this league. Just I want to make that clear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just
you're not trying to convince anybody that needs to be convinced here.
Well, I want to make it clear too, because I think that people would look at my glowing, review of how well his stats were and all that stuff as like, why would you not want him back if you believe that he's? Listen, I was never an argument of him being the greatest kicker in the league. My entire thing is that he deserves some praise for the fact that he was doing his job that he was asked to do. That does not mean that I want him to be the full-time kicker of the Carolina Panthers. I think he is a good kicker. He is not a great kicker. And I think when you look at great teams, they've been on the back of great kickers. The Super Bowl contenders, Harrison Butker and what's his face in Philadelphia. He's been there for ages. Can't remember his name. Anyway, Elliott. Jake Elliott.
That's it.
And you look at Buffalo, they've got their kicking situations figured out. It is those elite teams have a guy that they can rely on. And I just don't know that Eddie is going to be that guy, especially in those big time moments.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask y'all this though. Go ahead, Tony. You can go first.
I was just going to say what's tier 3, but go ahead. Ask.
Well, no, I was going to say Tommy Tremble. So this tight end position to Ian Thomas and Tommy Tremble have been like the two default names at tight end for the past couple of years now, rather than, other than a random Hayden Hurst every once in a while. But what do we do about Tommy Tremble? Is he out the door? I mean, because
I don't think
really,
so. I think he's played well enough.
That's what I'm saying.
The stupid hurdle. He always hurdling people that don't need to be hurdled.
I like the energy. I think he just needs some more opportunities. And I do think that this Dave Canales offense is now this is finally the offense that he needed to really sort of start to thrive. And famously, Ian Thomas has taken these super team-friendly deals year after year just because he knows that he doesn't really have much of a market, and the Panthers know him, so he signs back here. Dude, if Tremble could do that for 1 or 2 years, I really think that could benefit him and his career enormously for him to make another bigger contract in another year or two. I really hope that Tommy considers coming back here to Carolina. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I like Tommy.
It's not like anybody else is going to be beating the table for Tommy Tremble.
Right.
I know, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, though, because I feel
he's
like
a discount player. We're going to need some discount signings.
I don't feel like he's
some value players, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tommy Tremble coming back. Ian Thomas let him go. Right now, he's been injury prone the last couple of years anyway. There's no reason for. I mean, outside of like a depth situation, like don't put any capital into an Ian Thomas return to this offense. Tommy Tremble, if you can get him on, I personally would not like the idea of a 1-year deal for Tommy Tremble. I would rather there be like a 2 or 3 year type of thing. Like let him play with an understanding he's got some security in his position here, and go from there. So I'm absolutely a fan of bringing back Tommy Tremble.
I'm not opposed to Austin Corbett coming back on a 1-year deal or a 1 year, 2 year friendly, 1 year voidable kind of deal.
Who would you prefer? The both of you and to everyone in the chat. Who would you prefer to be the center between those two going forward if you had to depend on one? Christensen or Corbett?
Christensen, no question. Just age and lack of. I mean, he's had one injury that you have to worry about, but I'd rather have the Swiss Army knife and Brady Christensen come back.
Brady Christensen, though, is gonna not be friendly to the Panthers in negotiations, right? Is that if you bring back Austin Corbett, I bring him back on we need 8 games from you next year, and we're drafting a rookie center.
I think it would be a fair statement to say Corbett would sign a prove it deal with laden with incentives, and the incentives would be like play 100% of the games, don't miss any games, you get an extra $2 million. You play more than half of the games in the season, you get an extra $1 million. Like, I think it needs to be an incentive laden contract to where, I think that he has some reason to want to stick around. I agree. I think that Brady Christensen is going to ask for a lot more money than I think that we would like to invest in a guy that many people would consider a backup offensive lineman, even though he's proven that he can play at a high level at pretty much any position on the line.
A lot of people are shouting KF and Mays, like the brand ambassador here. A lot of Cade Mays fans too, and I feel like Christensen and Mays both had a good stretch. Like, it's so funny that none of these 3 dudes are set to be on the roster, and that all of them have their drawbacks, reasons why you would put them there, reasons why you wouldn't. I'm not really opposed to any of them. Like, even if they did want to bring back Corbett, like you were saying, Tony, on a very team-friendly deal for just a little bit.
1 year.
And he even mentioned, he did an interview from his locker and basically said verbatim, I know that I've been injured a lot. I know that hinders things in contract negotiations. He seems very aware of the circumstances that he finds himself in.
And he's gotten a little money. Brady Christensen hasn't gotten any money yet. Right. So he, $3 million matters to him.
It does. Listen, I think that I'm personally fine with taking a flyer on Corbett in shopping in the bargain bin. But Cade Mays, I still think that you put some. He might be cheaper than Austin Corbett, to be honest with you.
He's probably still on his rookie deal.
No, he's not. We
Cade Mays is a restricted free agent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when we cut him, that released him of that rookie deal. So, I think Cade Mays coming back would probably be I think you get both Corbett and Cade Mays, and then that way you have the security blanket, no matter which way you look at it. But I hate that
personally.
I hate that Brady Christensen is. I wish that he got the look that he deserved his entire time here in Carolina, because I do think that dude has been lights out every time he's gotten an opportunity. I just don't like the dude. He must. There's something behind the scenes that we don't know about, because
I don't think the coaching staff believes in him. CK
multiple.
It's 3 different regimes, though.
Yeah,
that don't believe in him.
Different staffs now. I don't understand it. To me, there's a timeline of events where he's the left tackle for the Carolina Panthers. I really do felt like he had the ability
to it.
I maintain
never abandon
never.
I want y'all on that hill with me when we're fighting a war.
Fucking Brady Christensen never got the opportunity to prove that he could be the franchise left tackle, and I do believe that he has the feet and the quote unquote dancing bear abilities that you need to play that position well. Which is something that I've doubted from my Kevin Quanter at times. But no, he's going to sign somewhere. I do agree with CK, though. To me, it's not wild to think that we could have Cade Mays and Corbett come back as like a 1-2 punch of like, okay, one of them has dealt with injuries, one of them hasn't gotten to start a lot. Be ready to play as soon as your name and number is called. That if they're both willing to be here for a reasonable amount, then I would love that.
All right. Do we have a tier 3?
We do, and this is the one I probably.
This is tier 1.
Well, right, it goes down. So tier 3 was the players you don't give a fuck about. 2 was
we're going 3, 2, 1.
Yeah,
Pay attention, Tony. Pay attention.
So they had Andy Dalton, Shat Thompson, Xavier Woods, Sam Franklin, and Johnny Hacker. So we already know that Andy Dalton.
Or is this tier 1?
I don't agree with it either. That's why I put it on here.
This should be tier 3.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking. So how important is it for Shaq Thompson to be back on this team next year? Knowing the amount of injuries that he's had, the leadership that he provides the locker room. How would you feel about that?
All right, this is who wrote this story?
This is Schuler.
Okay. All right, so Andy Dalton's back. He said, "You might be confused in my decision to put Shaq Thompson and Austin Corbett in different tiers, considering they both missed a ton of time over the last couple of years. The fibula Achilles injury, while serious, are less concerning than a lineman having multiple knee injuries in a short period. Thompson is the heart and soul of this defense. His leadership was clearly missed last season. He and Xavier Woods may be a little older, but Carolina needs some experienced veterans in the fold who aren't afraid to hold their teammates accountable, and those two certainly have no problem doing so." I disagree with this altogether. I wouldn't be upset if neither of these dudes were on the team, as in Shaq Thompson and Xavier Woods. I think Shaq Thompson is going to come back as a legacy signing, as a guy who will do it basically because he wants to play football and rejuvenate his name or go out on a good note. You can bring back Shaq Thompson for pennies on the dollar, I would think. Xavier Woods is going to know that he can sign somewhere, make a little cash or whatever, but I don't think he played fantastic for the Panthers this past year. He wasn't horrible at times. He got some bad penalties that were bad. The refs were bad in calling, but I don't think he would be. I think both of these guys would be easily replaced, though. That's the problem that I have with tier 1.
Yeah.
Tier 1? No.
The only one that see, I have a hard time wanting to put a punter in the tier 1 also. I think Johnny Hecker was a heck of a punter for us, but I don't know that what he does can't be replaced. I can't tell you that there's like I feel like every team, when you see their punter, like everybody's like, "Oh, this dude's a great punter," and I'm just like, I don't know that job's as elite as it once was. I think it's.
I don't want to be punting.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunately, that's there is a tremendous asset when you have a punter that can flip the field and pin a team 5 yards from their own end zone. But so I'm not opposed to signing having a punter that is considered elite. I just don't know that I would put him in tier 1. That we would need that to be a priority to re-sign him. Sam Franklin, that's an interesting one. Because I feel like he was a great special teamer, but I don't know that we really saw much from him last year to where we we need to get him back. I would like to see him back, but I'm not sure that it's a weird list to have in tier 1.
I almost feel like he flipped it and reversed it.
Well, I get why he did it. Let's be real, we were not a great team last year, right? So. I mean, tier 1, any free agent that we have is going to be a tier 3 in most any other team's, eyes moving forward. So until we can prove that we're a good team, we have a good defense, none of these guys are gonna, be like, we need to bring them back. None of these guys are gonna be like, after 2015, we need to re-sign this guy, we need to re-sign that guy. We can't lose the cohesion of this unit.
No, and how we've been saying for years. We don't love anyone on this roster.
Right.
So it's like, if we lose any of these dudes, how many of us are batting an eyelash, dude? I mean, Johnny Hecker, for as good of a punter as he is, he's not a name that's going to stir up the emotions of people. And I think
he might be my favorite. Him and Sam Franklin are my favorites on this list, to be honest. Let me ask you this, is to do a thought experiment. We won't spend any time on it, but just think about this. If you're a podcast of another team and in your free agency, you go and get any of these players, you're Eagles or you're a Green Bay Packer or you're an Arizona Cardinal. Imagine being the podcasters trying to say you're excited about signing Xavier Woods, Shaq Thompson, Sam Franklin, or Johnny Hecker. You're like, oh, just real difference making for our team.
Yeah.
Good luck writing that article.
Yeah.
Be excited about Xavier Woods. You know what? We were. I would say. I mean, you can find that one because
that's bad when we have no safeties on the roster next year, and we're still like, nah, later, bro.
Yeah, let's just see what we can do.
Yeah, thanks for your time here, but yeah, peace and love. Don't let.
I know it sounds crass or he's mean to this, but if you're paying these guys, you got to pay them. You're saying this is you're paying them for it can't be about the money. Then you can't be like, you have to talk about how they're willing. You're getting a player for a discount. You're getting a Shaq Thompson who brings something to the team, but he doesn't cost much. Xavier Woods is a better player than people give him credit for, still on a bad defense, and he's not going to command a bunch of money, so you got him on a discount. Sam Franklin, an unknown, great special teamer, but hasn't played, but could be something. But they haven't played him, CK, like you're saying, on the field enough. Yeah. Imagine writing the article saying this really great addition for the Arizona Cardinals as they signed Sam Franklin and Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, it's not. Right. It's any other team. They're not paying high dollar for any of these guys. All of them are. When you see the contracts that they sign with other teams, you'd be like, I would have brought them back for that here.
Yeah,
that would have been like. It's none of these guys are gonna, break the bank. The only one out of any of these people that I think are gonna be like, we're gonna question whether or not they're worth that type of money. Might be Brady Christensen. Oh. And I don't know that there's a team that's going to chase after Eddie P. either.
No, I don't think he's going to command a lot of money. Yeah. I think he's just going to charge the Panthers more than he would charge someone else.
I do think that when you see some of these teams that have had crazy bad offensive line issues, I do think that you're going to see a lot of hungry teams willing to pay Brady Christensen the bag, with like just mainly because the dude has not failed at any of the positions. He may not, like, he might be stronger in certain positions and what have you, but he has played, at a above average level, I would say, for most any of the positions that he's been in. And so I think that I think he will get the bag, and I think that might be the only person on this entire list that we're going to look back and be like, when he gets his bag, we're going to be like, I don't know that we would have been willing to sign him for that. Like, I really don't know. I'm glad that he got that money, but I'm not sure we would be willing to do it.
Cody, let's take some calls. The number is 252-228-5098. We'd like to get your thoughts on the Panthers re-signing Andy Dalton and their upcoming foray into free agency. Are the tiers backwards? Do you cry tears when you think about signing some of these players? Cody, let's take these calls.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing? It's G Cavassier.
What up, G?
Hey man, this is something that nobody is talking about, but I'm gonna say it. What are we gonna do with our right tackle? That's a question nobody's talking about.
Pay him $30 million is what we're about to do.
Cap hit or whatever. What are we gonna do with him, man? What the hell are we gonna do with him? Because if we then release him, would you put Brady Christensen there? You know,
don't threaten Cody Lack with a good time.
I don't know if you can play right tackle, but you can play every other damn position.
That's what I'm saying, man.
None of our Panther fans are saying.
That's Swiss Army knife, baby.
Tackle and our daggone safeties. I think Xavier's coming back and everything. But what we gonna do? And do y'all think Shaq Thompson is coming back this season? I think he's gone personally. I think we're gonna pick up another linebacker in free agency. But yeah, man, what we gonna do with the right tackle, y'all? I mean, I'm looking for some moves that happen or whatever, but maybe that's not gonna be until like next month or whatever. But if I really see Dan Morgan beefing up our damn defense, I really, 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 really do, man. I really do. But give me your thoughts on that, y'all. What we gonna do with the damn offensive right tackle, y'all? Keep pounding.
Tony, we've sort of discussed this before. I've been swayed. I feel like we need to re-sign Taylor Moton.
Yeah, like renegotiate.
Yeah, renegotiate, re-sign him. But and you would have to
re-sign down here this year.
He's on the last year of his deal. So if you did re-sign him, you would be able to sort of lessen the blow.
Massage the numbers.
Tony, look, I think last year he played the best football of his career.
I do.
I feel the past 2 years he's played really good football. And at a day and age when we are so dependent upon what Bryce is going to be in year 3, I'm not willing to even do the whole, well, how does Brady hold up at right tackle?
Yeah. Oh, nice.
You know, like they might be able to play all of them, but I would prefer to keep a good thing good rather than another question mark at another position.
Taylor Moton has been durable. He has been consistent, and I believe it feels like he's been with the Panthers for 10 years. He has almost been there, maybe 6 or so, 7, but he's 28 years old. You could see him having 3 more years of football as long as, heaven forbid, it doesn't happen. I think you're absolutely right. It's extend and lessen the blow. Say, look, you're going to make more money, guaranteed, over the next few years. You're going to have the opportunity to renegotiate another contract when you're 31 with us or another team.
Mm-hmm.
And we will then also be able to get some players in here. So you're not losing money. And we're going to get some players in here that make this team better. And then you can look better in the process.
When you look at Moton's stats over the longevity of his career here in Carolina, if your belief is that cutting Moton is the answer, I have no idea what you're like. The dude has been the most consistent offensive lineman we've ever had. And I know that's weird because we've had Jordan Gross, but Like legitimately, Taylor Moton, when you look at the way that he plays, the consistency, his constant availability to be on the field at any, every single year, every single game, minus maybe one or two like this year. Like the dude's an iron. Like all of the reasons why you're concerned about bringing back Austin Corbett is the exact reasons why you're bringing back Taylor Moton. Like you can't just let these guys walk.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with that great call, by the way, G. And I like that the greatest trumpeter of Brady Christensen says, like, I'm good on that. Let's stick with Taylor Moton. Great call. We talked about some of the other players. Let's go to the next call here and see what you guys got for us.
To the charismatic CK, the tenacious Tony Dunn, and yes, the incomparable Cody Lack. What's going on, boys? This ain't nobody but your boy CP, the Vintage Retro Man, North Carolina's neighborhood hope dealer.
Put it in your pipe and smoke it.
Hey, say this with me real quick, C3 Nation. JJ Jansen.
Oh, we resigned him.
Man, they re-signed my man for a 17th year. More cart talk, baby. JJ Jansen, my dude.
Let's go.
I know a lot of people don't get excited about players like JJ Jansen, a long snapper, but I love that guy, man. I'm so glad to see him back. But I did have another question about special teams, man. Eddie Pinheiro. I don't know, y'all. Like,
we don't either.
If he's the answer. I know y'all talked about him, in the past and everything, and I don't know if we should bring that dude back, man, but I wanted to ask y'all, if they do end up letting Eddie Pinheiro walk, man, do y'all think we should try to draft another kicker or look for a kicker free agent? I was just wondering, man. I know kickers are important, especially, I got a feeling we're going to be in some close games this fall, man, with the way that, Bryce and the offense is stepping up, and hopefully we get a defense together. But I know we're going to be in some close games, man. So, anyway, wanted to see what y'all thoughts were, man, as far as keeping steady Eddie or looking at other options. But it's the Hope Dealer. Love y'all. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding, brother. Shout out to JJ Jansen, who is not only the longest tenured Panther ever, but I believe he is the longest tenured player to be with one team ever in his, 17th season?
Ever or just currently?
I believe ever.
Jeez. And all I can do is, as we do this, just think we drafted a guy to replace him that we then let go, who had to crawl back to Alabama or whatever.
That's kind of the biggest flex ever, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
An organization tried to replace you, but then you end up being the cool guy that they can't replace.
For 4 more years?
Yeah, for 4 more years. Dude, shout out to JJ, man. But when
we talked a little bit about Eddie P.
Yeah, I want to.
There is risk though drafting kickers. There is risk. I feel like it's like one of those things is you just figure out if you're going with Eddie P or not, and then you just figure out of the scrap heap of kickers who you can manage till you find one that outkicks what you expected.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just don't like the idea of investing a lot in the field. I know they're important to the game, but there's only 32 teams. There's got to be more than 32 people that can kick the football out there in the world. I don't
agree.
And then can we go back and watch some of those videos? Do you remember like every year? Who is that? Remember the black guy that's the punter that drops like 80,
Marquette King.
Yeah, and then like, can we just start watching some of these videos of guys? There's a guy that used to play for ECU that's always training, and he was good. There's got to be somebody. I don't know. Eddie Pinheiro and that haircut got to go, bro. Gotta go. All right, we'll take one more call, and we got 3 more calls. Oh, I'm searching by accident. 3 more calls and for the night, but we'll take this call and then we'll get back into a different subject.
C3 Panther Nation. What's up, boys? It's Preston from Hickey.
What up, Preston?
Called in. Actually, not Preston from Hickory anymore. I just moved up to Newton, which is about an hour or so away from Charlotte. But yeah, man, I just wanted to call and talk about our boys real quick. You know, specifically one guy, his interview got me thinking a little bit. So I've been watching all these Bryce Young, you know, Super Bowl week interviews. And one thing that stood out to me in one of those interviews, he was saying that Andy Dalton, him and Andy Dalton got really close. And that got me thinking, man, we should probably just bring Andy back. Like, Andy, I think he should just end his career in Carolina. Because I think that's going to be good stability for Bryce. I really think that's going to be good stability for Bryce, him coming into the season knowing, hey, my backup is somebody I know and trust, somebody that's got my back. And, I mean, their relationship seems really, really strong, really close. So I think Andy Dalton and most definitely Adam Thielen, those are two guys that I desperately want us to bring back because their value on and off the field is tremendous, I believe. Yeah, man, that's about all I got. Other than that, I mean, let's see what we do in free agency. I mean, the draft. I guess I'm excited for the draft, but we all know what we got to do: defense, and that's it. Free agency, defense, that's it. Like, hopefully, we retain a good portion of our offensive line. You know, Brady Christensen, that guy's a hoss. So hopefully we can bring him back. Hopefully we can do right by a lot of our core players that actually did good last season, and we can build upon that for the next season. But yeah, man, that's all I got. Keep pounding, boys. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding, brother. We appreciate your call, man. And yeah, you're gonna get your wish, dude. Andy Dalton coming back is gonna be a part of this quarterback room, as I'm sure you know. Him being in this locker room, I do think helped Bryce, even when he did come back, knowing that Bryce had the opportunity to recertify himself as the starter, and knowing that, let's be real, the coaches were more playing favoritism towards Andy Dalton than they were Bryce Young, even though Dave Canales was brought in to rejuvenate the career of Bryce Young. Like, we were all questioning if Dave Canales would ever go back to Bryce from Andy. If it wasn't for that car accident, we genuinely don't know what would have happened. So I do think just the presence of Andy Dalton is definitely going to help Bryce Young. Adam Thielen, as you mentioned, coming back, that is by far the wide receiver that has the most experience with Bryce. They're on the same timing, the same rhythm. And I think one of the reasons why Adam Thielen has always been so bullish on Carolina's chances is because of Bryce Young and who he feels like Bryce can be one day. So happy to have both of those two dudes back, man, for sure.
What do we got next, Cody?
Yeah, man. So I wanted to bring this up. Daniel Jeremiah was on the Move Your Sticks podcast, and he was talking about some things that the Panthers could be able to do in this year's draft. And I wanted to play that and get your opinion and see what you think about this. Because, Tony, as of this moment, I do believe I am a bigger proponent of, for the first time in maybe the Panthers, ever in Panthers history, trying to get a first-round pick, trying to get multiple first-round picks in 1 year. I feel like if we were ever able to make that happen, this might be the year to do it.
Trade candidate as well. You know, the nice thing, it sucks when you have a lot of needs on your team. The nice thing is you can afford to slide around and move around a little bit because you're still going to get somebody that's going to help you out.
Right. You're not trying to drop in a championship team player.
But I think with them, I think trying to, again, find guys that have won. I think when you've had a team that hasn't won a lot lately, I do think there is something to that. Bryce has been through the fire a little bit, but he came out of it stronger. He's got a winning background, winning pedigree. Now we go get somebody on the other side of the ball here in Jalen Walker, who's won a bunch, who's dynamic and explosive, a versatile piece there. I think it kind of gives him a chess piece, for that group, and get Derek Brown back healthy. This defense could take a major step forward next year.
Yeah, and look, it's a defense that lost Frankie Louvu, right? And longs for the days of Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson, at the second level. And
John Beeson, let's go.
Yeah, sure, let's go. Line up.
So you have a bunch of analysts that are predicting that the Panthers could take a step forward this next year on defense. But what do you make of the idea that the Panthers could slide around the draft and use this opportunity to get multiple picks? I mean, get more picks maybe this year and next year.
I have no problem with it because excuse me, people out there talking about taking a wide receiver at 8. If we take a wide receiver at 8, I'm going to go nuts. But how about this?
Also, if you say that, tell me that you didn't watch the Super Bowl and took nothing away from it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying this, though, is that we could take a wide receiver if you move back from 8 to 17 and get a future first or a high second. Adding top players to this team is what we need. There's a lot to be had. My bastard son, White Chocolate Espresso, has been talking about moving back forever. You know what? We've been talking about on this podcast for years, moving back. Look at what you got. I mean, look, you better hit at 8, and you better hit you could hit a monster. I mean, I don't mind sticking and hitting a monster and making that monster eat each week. But we could use 2 monsters. If you could get a 15 and a 29 or 15, what if you could get a 15, a second, and a future first? Then you're talking about putting together a real team.
Yeah, man. Forward. That's what you need.
I got no problem with that. I think that I think that what's not irritating, fan how you want to fan, is I want incremental growth at this point. I know that teams that turn around, and I do think the Panthers can go from a 4-win team to an 8-win team or a 9-win team, but they're still not going to be championship level. And when you get to 9 wins, you want next year, while you have 2 years left on Bryce, to be a time you can be aggressive, aggressive, and you have to have picks to do that. I would not, if we've traded back CK and we move into the late teens and we got some real good capital out of it, I would not cry about it.
No, I mean, I think that some of the best teams in the league right now have done the trading back and doing things to build their draft capital. A lot of these teams have been good through the draft. You look at the Eagles, right? They have somehow built a can't miss type of a team when you're talking about what they've put on defense, right? Like Cooper DeJean, nobody would have put him as like I don't know if I want to say shutdown because of the way that Adam Thielen made him look, but like the dude performed at a really high level on the biggest stage that that you could ask for, right? Like these guys have built their team through the draft. They have a few free agent signings and stuff, but they still seem to shop in the bargain bin even when it comes to those things. They keep their core players, and then you get the benefit of a Saquon Barkley. I mean, I think you've got to draft these guys, and I don't know that there's a shortcut to do this. And so trading back, I think that statement, when you have a team that has as many holes as we do, trading back offers you a lot more flexibility because you're not just plucking somebody into a perfect situation to be able to change the team's trajectory. Having 3 or 4 impact players that maybe you wouldn't have had if you didn't, I think is absolutely worth putting some effort into that.
Cody, if you needed one defensive lineman to make this team go from okay to very good, you stay at 8. But you could get a dog ass safety at 17. and then catch another Xavier Legette in the early second, or get an early second move back into the first. Too many holes on this team to believe one player is going to make a difference. Not make a difference. That's not right. You better not miss.
Yeah, no doubt. You better not miss, especially when you need so much good defense right now. Again, Tony, I know you're right. You know, you don't know the names. This year, you're gonna have to learn some of the names.
Got to convince me to care.
You're gonna right. We're gonna have to bring that back. I think that Mason Graham, again, the defensive tackle from
Is that Michigan.
Yeah, the defensive
But
tackle.
you know how many teams want him?
No, but here's the deal.
Go
Right
to
now,
Jacksonville.
there's two guys that a lot of people are saying could fall to the Panthers. One of them is Holland. He is the outside linebacker from Georgia, who everybody says has freak show athletic abilities. Then you have Abdul Carter, the outside linebacker from Penn State, who's also drawing comparisons to a Micah Parsons. He's also played off ball. They also put him on the line. He's sort of a do-it-all type of player. You add in Mason Graham, who I have dreams about what he might be able to do with Derek Brown next to him. And if you wanted to stop the run, that's what you would do. You would take a big bad mofo to put right next to Derek Brown to eat up that pocket for the foreseeable future. So I can understand how a lot of people would be really upset if we did pass on some of those players. But I hear you, though. If you're able to recoup a second, or God forbid, a future first, dude, take that all day, man. Take that opportunity to build the team and really do something special for the next couple of years. Put us ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I mean, we got to get on the curve at this point.
Agreed.
Yeah, we got to get on the curve. What do we got next, Cody?
Let's see here. So now let's move on to the today was the deadline for franchise tag.
Or it began.
The window opened, right, for the franchise tag. So let's move on to some of this article by Ian Rappaport. Says the NFL's franchise tag windows opens Tuesday, February 18th at 4 p.m. Eastern, making the first day clubs can use the tender. The window closes on March 4th at 4 p.m. Even with the window opening, don't expect a lot of news off the bat. Most teams will wait until closer to the close of the window before executing the tag, using the threat as a soft deadline to get a longer-term extension done before employing the one-year tender. This is precisely what the Bengals hope to do with T. Higgins. So this is the broader conversation. I know T. Higgins has been linked to the Carolina Panthers a ton. It has been reported that the Bengals are planning on using the franchise tag on Higgins. Now there's
a tag and trade move, though.
Yeah, but I don't even know if they're even going to trade him, though. Burrow wants him to be there. And now they're making it sound like they want to try and keep T. Higgins and Jamar Chase in the building. I don't know if they're going to be able to make that happen, but those three specifically seem to be very close, and they look like they want to make that happen. But if they did tag him to trade him, now for the Panthers, that price goes up pretty much dramatically at this point, right?
No, because the tag and trade, then you negotiate the contract.
Yeah, but you're still paying him around.
No, you're gonna once you extend it and all of that, the tag goes away.
I know, but I'm saying even though the tag is $25 million, you're going to be paying him.
He's going to be a $20 million receiver.
More.
Well, no, I mean, I think the number goes down when you sign it over a 5-year deal. You get him. He makes a lot more than $25 million, but the cap hit isn't going to be $25 million in year one,
right?
So I think there are ways that they're going to massage the numbers here. But look, we just talked about all the needs in free agency. You want to sink $25 million or $20 million into one player, and then have a shitty defense. Did you? I could not believe this. I heard this today. How did I not hear that Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown this year?
You didn't know that?
No, I mean I haven't paid any attention to the Bengals. They started out 2-4, and I felt like it, but I didn't know. I mean, Jamar Chase, damn Triple Crown. Imagine having the Triple Crown and then being able to keep T. Higgins. Jerks.
Yeah. So this is from Dean Jones, who wrote about this a little. It says T. Higgins is a luxury the Carolina Panthers cannot afford this offseason. This was a topic discussed by Marcus Mosher from the 33rd team. The analyst projected Higgins to get somewhere in the region of $33 million per year on his next deal. This all but rules out the Panthers out of the running, considering their current financial constraints. Mosher said T. Higgins isn't in the tier of Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb, but none of those players hit the open market either. With several teams needing a number one wide receiver, we could see a massive bidding war for Higgins' services that make him one of the league's highest paid wide receivers. Because of his age and lack of viable receivers in the 2025 NFL draft, we can see as many as a dozen teams interested in Higgins this offseason. Look for Higgins to be the second highest paid free agent this offseason should he hit the market. The Panthers have just $20.32 million in salary cap space with 57 players under contract. That will increase once the necessary moves are made, but it makes landing Higgins difficult. So this is already sort of a pipe dream, but now,
do you really think T. Higgins is in the category of top receivers?
I think he has number one abilities. Yeah.
Okay. Would you say he is better than AJ Brown?
I think that's probably the comp for him.
See,
I don't see AJ Brown as a far superior prospect than T. Higgins.
I worry. I'm not saying T. Higgins isn't going to be a good player, but I worry that T. Higgins is going to be the kind of player that once he leaves his current situation is never going to be able to live up to the contract that he's going to sign. Like I feel like playing the game next to a Jamar Chase and having a Joe Burrow as your quarterback is
the Triple Crown.
Yeah. Like you're talking about a much different. I don't think Higgins is in the ballpark of AJ Brown. I think AJ Brown is a head and shoulders better wide receiver than T. Higgins. The problem is they just don't throw the ball in Philadelphia, so it doesn't seem as though AJ Brown puts up those stats. But when you watch him, I would even say
monster.
I would even say that I might say Nico Collins is a better wide receiver than T. Higgins.
Oh, give me a break. T. Higgins is a better one. He has multiple years of 1,000 yards. He can high point the ball. He's a good route runner. Another guy that I think he compares to.
Too fixated on wide receiver.
What was the guy? No, I agree.
We should get yes. Do you need to make sure that group stays is getting better each year for your young quarterback? But I don't think you're a star away from all the sudden.
No, I agree. And who was the guy? Was it AJ Green who used to play for the Bengals?
Yep.
Yeah.
He was the
AJ. To me, AJ Green is another comparison for.
Yeah, but AJ Green
he hasn't done any.
That's what I was going to say. AJ Green is the exact reason that I would you're exactly right, and that's the fear I would have with signing T. Higgins is because AJ Green couldn't do anything after his rookie
because he was
contract.
old by that point.
Yeah, he was old.
I don't know.
He stayed in Cincinnati forever.
Yeah, would we be better with T. Higgins? Certainly. Do I think he's a magic bullet as a wide receiver? I'm not certain. I would almost. Would you rather go? I'd rather get 3 really good players on defense than this one player on offense.
I don't disagree. I don't think that, again, as many of us have said, I think this goes back to the Daniel Jeremiah statement. When you have as many holes as we have, picking trying to pluck a guy to try to make you a contender isn't going to fix anything. You're going to put yourself in a much worse situation by overpaying a guy who's just not, I hate to say it. I don't care where he goes. He's not going to live up to the contract that people are saying he's going to get. I'm just being honest with you. Like it's there's been,
Is he like a
really
Brian Burns of the offense?
Yeah.
I disagree when
like a good, better than he's a good, better than good player.
Whenever whenever Jamar Chase is hurt, T. Higgins routinely puts up 100 yards a game.
Okay.
He's a dude, man. But we will see. So these are some players that the Panthers are potential landing spots for some players here. ESPN Matt Bowers sorted out the best fits for the top 50 free agents of 2025. Carolina matched up with two players. Number 14, starting safety Trevon Moehrig. Moehrig would bring tone-setting traits to an interchangeable safety in the Panthers scheme. Over the past 2 seasons in Vegas, Moehrig had 5 interceptions and 12 pass breakups. The Panthers need to upgrade all 3 levels of their defense this offseason. They allowed a league worst 6.0 yards per play, and signing Moehrig would be a good start. Are any of y'all familiar with Trevor Moehrig? I'm not, or not Trevor Moehrig.
No, but I got a Las Vegas Raiders guy I can bring on the show to talk about it in a couple of weeks. I'll land that and we can talk about that. But no, I can't comment on that. And they were terrible overall. The other guy on this was, what does it look like? Next on Bowen's list, Darius Slayton. Panthers wide receivers averaged 11 yards per catch, 30th in the NFL. Slayton caught 39 passes, averaged 14.2 yards per reception, despite subpar QB play in New York. So Darius Slayton, they could use Slayton to boost the pass game around the quarterback. Slayton is a veteran, stretch the field from the perimeter, alignments, make contested catches. Okay. But what are we going to be? We're going to be talking about Jalen Coker. We're going to be talking about we need Xavier Legette. I don't need any shock value, to be honest. This might be the type of player the Panthers actually sign in free agency at wide receiver rather than T. Higgins.
Listen, he's certainly not gonna command the type of market that T. Higgins would be commanding, but I don't know that
I'm not excited about this name.
It's not. I don't know that it's such an upgrade that we're like, we need to get this guy on our team. I still think like the wide receiver, as much as yes, we want a number one, we want a guy. Don't get me wrong, I fully get that. I'm not sold on the fact that we may not have the guy yet.
Legette.
Like this idea that we're giving up on that hope that this dude can be it. I think is a bit premature. Especially given that some of the best wide receivers in the history of the league have not shown up in year one as being that guy. Some people might even look back at the DJ Moore first year and say that he was a bust too. So let's not take what we had to deal with Legette having some issues this year as a reason to move on from him. If you're talking about needing to sign anybody in free agency, the last thing we need to do to commit is put that in the wide receiver room right now. I just don't think we need to do that right now.
I think we have too many needs. I think it's time to get this team better significantly, not just with one player addition. You want to take another couple of calls?
Yeah, let's finish them out.
All right, let's go. We got next. We had Preston last. Here we go.
Hey, Tony. Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up, Chuck?
Chuck from Elizabeth City giving you a
What
call.
up, Chuck?
Hey, I just kind of heard the big news today, and I'm sure people will talk about it on the night show. Andy Dalton re-upping for 2 more years. I'm happy about it. We don't really want to see Andy Dalton be the starter. I mean, at least I think most people, after seeing what Bryce Young's done second half of the season. But it's good to have a guy that, is a capable backup. But I think it says one thing. If anybody has any question about it, by Andy Dalton re-upping for 2 years, number one, it shows that he must like the coaching staff. He must like his teammates. He must like it in Carolina. And I think that's a real good outbreak looking at Dan Morgan and Dave Canales and Bryce Young and the whole team. You know, if it was really bad here, the ship was sinking, Dalton would probably go somewhere else. But by him staying, it's showing some stability, some credibility. Basically saying, hey, this is a good gig for me being the backup. He gets along great with Bryce. And if something was to happen, if Bryce gets taken out or was to get hurt for a game or two, that Andy knows the system and can come in and play well. But I just would like to say it just says a lot about bringing him back.
Yeah.
To what type of team that Morgan and Canales is building and what direction we're going. And I think it's great. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents on in there, and glad to see the Red Rifle come on back down the road for a little bit.
Thanks to hear from you again, Chuck. We love you. Great supporter of the show. Long-time listener, long-time caller. This is Andy Dalton on re-signing with the Carolina Panthers. He said, our relationship and friendship is so strong that I want him to feel it and experience and have it all. Now, it doesn't take away from the fact that I would love to be playing, Dalton said in his role with the Panthers in December, but that's nothing that is holding me back from supporting everything that he's doing. I love to see him making the plays that he's been able to make. Joe Person, it's a dual story by Joe Person and Amos Morale the third. They said, why this is a good move for the young and the Panthers. A toxic quarterback room can easily infect a locker room, they wrote. And the QB situation last year in Carolina with Young getting benched after 2 games and then reclaiming it when Dalton injured his thumb in a car accident could have gotten messy. But Dalton handled everything with class, telling The Athletic in December he wanted to stay in Charlotte, continue to serve as a good steward to Young. The Panthers could have brought in another veteran to pair with Young, but there's no guarantee he would have been as accepting of his role as backup with Dalton as Dalton has been. Dalton knows the offense, knows the coaches, has a good relationship with Young. Also, Dalton showed with his 300-yard, 3 TD game in Las Vegas, he can sling it when called upon. They go on to write, Dalton is self-aware enough to know that no team is going to sign him to be a starter. Could he have gone somewhere else as the number 2? Probably. But like a lot of older guys who come to Charlotte late in their careers, Dalton embraced the city as a good place to live and raise his children. He also likes the vibe in the organization. I think that is the key right here. The vibe in the organization was complimentary of Young's turnaround in 2024, what it could mean for the Panthers' future. You got to believe, they wrote. Plus, you have to believe, they wrote. Dalton respected how first-year coach Dave Canales tried to make sure in his public comments that Dalton didn't feel slighted when Canales stuck with Young over the final 10 games. Giant shout out to Cheshire Cat for the $2 C3 bomb. Said, what do you think about Marty Hurney retiring?
I didn't even know until you mentioned it.
He's going to be consulting. Get him back as a consultant for 1 pick.
No, sir.
A 1-pick consultant. He's a one night. We
yeah,
give him $10,000.
Just for the first round, I'm down.
Yeah, $10,000 night.
That dude has built multiple, like, he's been a part of a bunch of roster building moments where that's propelled a team from nothing to incredible, feats that they've, could have never imagined happening. So I think the dude coming back just to be a consultant on that first round, I'm perfectly fine with that dude coming back. I don't think he would, being that he's been fired twice from the Panthers.
Cody, one bomb leads to another bomb. Stonewall with $1.99. I think Dalton is good for Bryce.
Yeah,
I really do too. I think his presence pushed Bryce last year, that made him be the best version of himself after Andy Dalton stepped in and had that big game against the Raiders. I think having that veteran presence around him has been beneficial for him.
Yeah. Yeah,
all right,
he's, I love it. I want to say one thing about the Dalton signing. The fact, kind of the article touches on it, the fact that this could have gotten to be a much worse relationship between Bryce and Andy.
And the coaching staff too.
Yeah, and the coaching staff. And no matter what happened, like Andy could have been salty about not keeping that job because he got hit, an injury from a car accident he had no control over, right? It's easy to look at it from that perspective, but that he came in there and him signing tells me that I think, like you've alluded to, I think he sees something in this organization from the inside. That, and also the fact that Adam Thielen has said that he's coming back, right, instead of retiring. Like the fact that he is making that choice, it tells me that they see something about this offense, this coaching staff, the direction that they're going, and it's got them believing in something that, you know, maybe some magic can happen. I don't know that it means that they believe we're going to the Super Bowl next year, but I think these guys have some confidence in what this coaching staff is doing, and I think they want to be here to be a part of something different.
I think there was moments where I felt like Dalton was a little distant from Bryce Young, distant as in wanting a little bit more, you know, hungry to be a starter, that type of thing. And I think just to re-sign with Carolina, speaks volumes to where it's not accepting the situation, but also not needing more and not being distanced by that situation. One bomb leads to another bomb, Cody.
Yes, sir. Flames watch says Josh Johnson or Andy as GOAT backup. Who is Josh Johnson?
No, PJ Walker, baby. GOAT backup. No, I mean, I don't know if I'd say GOAT backup is. I think the only argument against Andy is that you settled in with Bryce, you committed to Bryce, and now you paid him a little bit more than you would have to pay somebody who you're just saying is a dude that is going to be on the roster. But I think you get a guy that maybe, how many times do we see these players turning into coaches? You know, I wonder if with Dave Canales and he can get that good feeling vibe, and then all of a sudden you see Andy Dalton in a role of being a coach in 2 years, maybe not under Canales, but being getting the nod, the support, the reference letter from Dave Canales. There's something here that Andy Dalton saying that this is a decent move for my career right now.
Yeah.
Let's go back to calls. We got three more.
Yo, what's going on, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte.
What up, man?
Hope you guys are having a good Tuesday, man. Feels like it's been a little bit. I can't remember if I called into the show last week. I think I did. But yeah, it's been crazy right now in my life. I hope you guys are doing good. You know, just wanted to call in.
You're good, bro.
Season officially kicks off with, you know, first off, I think that's something unnoticed is that basically like the whole strength and conditioning, all those guys in that department, like in the scouts, everyone. I mean, Dan cleared all those guys out from. He did it during the season for the scouts, and I think he recently just cleared out all the health and training people. Like that's great to see. The amount of injuries we've had over these past 2 seasons has been absolutely crazy. It's been from a number of issues, but overall, man. Yeah, so that's good stuff to see, right? Second thing is, the offseason officially. Sorry, I was driving. The offseason officially kicks off today with the re-signing of Andy Dalton. Hey, man, listen,
JJ,
it is what it is. I don't think this is some substantial move or anything. Like people are arguing on Twitter. Like this fan base gets mad at the littlest things, man. But Andy Dalton's making just under the cap hit that like annually that Joe Flacco's making. He's making $4 million a season. This is really a 1-year deal. I mean, the guy's 38 years old. He can't really spin it anymore. I mean, we saw last year, like he has some of the average Andy Dalton that you saw throughout his career, but then he can't really sustain it. So again, he's a good spot starter in case Bryce goes down a week or two. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is from that point. And listen, another thing people got to understand too is that Bryce has been open this offseason. The whole Super Bowl week, he mentioned how him and Dan Morgan have a really close relationship, and Dan keeps him in on a lot of decisions that he makes. So hopefully maybe Bryce had influence, and he was like, hey, me and Andy have a good relationship, not just in the facility, but off the facility, you know, like, he's good for my mental state, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. We don't know. But maybe Bryce was a big component of Andy staying here, because I know a bunch of accounts said the Titans potentially had interest. So again, like that's all there really is to say today. Couple weeks until the off season, it's gonna get crazy. So stay tuned, man. Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
Thank you, Anthony from Charlotte. Let's keep going with the calls.
Hey, keep pounding, C3 Panther Nation. Preston from Hickory again. Preston from whatever. Seems like my prayers are answered for old Red Rifle, right? I mean, so he resigns his Panthers back up to QB. I think he's going to end his career in Carolina. And that's not going to be a bad look. I think that's really going to help Bryce out and add some stability to that offense. So we know we got a reliable backup, and Bryce has his guy. Yeah, Bryce has his guy, so hell yeah. But that's all, boys. Keep pounding, baby. Keep pounding.
All right, appreciate it. And last call of the night here.
Oh, man, you know who it is. Oh, I'm going through Mr. C3 Panthers Podcast. Oh, you know who it is. Oh, anywho. Oh, I'm kind of glad that we re-signed Andy Dalton. And, I think it's a good move for Bryce Young. And people on our way to maybe the playoffs next year. Let's just see if we're going to pick up some good free agents. Yeah. Let him Morphin cook. Let him cook. Let him motherfucking cook. Oh, you know who it is? Mickey. I'm out. Deuces, my nigga.
Hood Mickey wants Dan.
Shout out Hood Mickey, bro.
Hood Mickey wants Dan to cook. We need Dan to keep cooking. Had a good offseason last year. Need to parlay that into 2 in a row. You got to get 2 or 3 in a row to get consistent and get over this hump, to get on the curve and beyond the curve, as we said earlier. Cody Light, Netflix is making a giant move, or at least reports are saying. Now, Netflix is, look, I know people want to talk.
They're moving into everything.
Yeah,
Netflix.
and they are. They're the Amazon of streaming, right? And that is like what Amazon did from going to just being a selling platform, basically an eBay that then became more and more and more. While people talk junk about Netflix being dead, their content being lame, their stock has just crushed through a lot of things. They are the behemoth of streaming. I know a lot of people are going to talk junk about the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson service, their first foray into a giant live streaming event. That giant live streaming event of Mike Tyson and Jake Paul had more viewers than the Super Bowl, dude.
No,
Right?
I know, dude. They're the heavyweights in the streaming industry, and they've been dipping their toes in, like you've been saying. I mean, they already had Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. They already have football games on there already, but now they're trying to make it where you're going to spend your Sundays watching the Panthers or whoever your team is, too, whoever it is. They're going to be watching it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like I know this year, it's rumored that so the UFC, their deal is up with ESPN this year. A lot of people think that Netflix is going to be where the UFC goes too. So this looks like the latest trend. I don't know how much I don't know if I love this or hate this stuff, because Netflix is always driving their prices up and up.
Yeah, but
and
guess
up
what?
and up.
Every freaking streaming service does that. So guess what? Welcome to the world. They are the best. They're the best.
They're going to charge out the ass now.
They're out. Yeah, their algorithm joint is so good. I would not hate it. I would think this is the moving of the way of the world. Would it stink a little because I don't have Netflix anymore? I find ways around it now because
you don't have Netflix. Oh, you have the workaround.
Yeah, I got the dopest shit in the whole world. You know what also is dope is when Flames Watch gifts a C3 Panthers podcast membership.
Yeah, he became a member himself and donated another $2 C3 bomb. Shout out to Flames Watch, man. And welcome
I don't have
to
the right
welcome to the
soundboard,
C3 community, man. We appreciate you Welcome to the C3 Legion. All Panthers opinions are welcome here on the C3 podcast. He says, I want.
He gets an applause.
He does.
I haven't been on the board in weeks.
Yeah, you got to get used to it again.
I want Malik Willis to be a backup after next season. Yeah, Malik Willis is good in Green Bay this year.
Thank you, Flames Watch, right there. CK, I want you to have a word on the Netflix thing. Your thoughts?
Man, I think it's a good idea to throw a wrinkle in the entirety of how they do things. I know a lot of people might not be super keen on that because they don't want to have to pay for Netflix, but there are some people who pulled the cord on that too. I'm on the fence in that regard because I do think that you potentially alienate a large portion of your fan base that may not want to have to pay for a Netflix subscription. But at the same time, this is the way of the world right now. Things are going this direction. Live television, over-the-air television is becoming a thing of the past. It'll never disappear. I won't say never, but it's certainly not likely to disappear. I think that this does only good things for the teams and the players continuing to increase the total amount of money in the pot for the cap situation and what have you. So I support all of this.
It's kind of interesting if Fox and CBS let it go.
Well, I mean, the thing
they have to match. They got to match and get bigger.
They have to. They'd have to beat it. Number one, beat the other part of it. If you're the NFL, right? If Fox is willing to pay the same amount that Netflix is, or CBS is willing to pay the same amount that Netflix is, could Netflix, would they just go with Fox or CBS? Number one, just because they already know the platform.
Yeah, and it doesn't have any of these wrinkles that you're talking about.
Yeah, you wouldn't risk, alienating those people who don't have Netflix. So from a benefit to the actual overall market of the NFL, I think there is some value there. But we'll see. I mean, like I said, if it happens, I had no skin off my, skin off my neck, but off my back, yeah. But at the end of the day, until it happens, I'm not really over
interesting. But you know what? Netflix, every time they seem to be subsiding, they are making aggressive moves there. We did get Sea Dog calling in right now, so let's go to the last call of the night. Where did you go, C?
This is me, C Dog 19, A3 TV.
What's up, C Dog?
I don't know if this call gonna make it before they end the show tonight, but if not, they can play this call the next show. But whenever you come in here, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to this great content.
Appreciate you, brother.
We'll go live every Tuesday, every Friday, during the season and the off season. I forgot it was even live today, to be honest with you, but I'm kind of glad I
remembered.
Came on YouTube and everything to be around my family and everything. The Panther family. Like life just be life sometimes, man.
Amen to that
and everything. But to come in here and to be around everybody and kind of excited, for this next season of Panther football with Bryce playing better and everything. And only thing excited about Andy Dalton coming back is Bryce did play better after going to the bench and everything. So there's some connection and chemistry there and everything with Bryce, Andy Dalton, and Canales. But man, I mainly just calling to say, man, whenever you come in here, man, hit the like button, subscribe to this great content, and just show these boys some love, man. They are always consistent, man. Even like today, like the day I'm tired, man. I work 2 jobs and everything. But I hope everybody have a great week. I hope everybody just have a good week, man. All the Panther family, the whole C3 podcast, all the Panther fans across the world and everything.
Hey, man, look at that. That's a loyal. That's a loyal.
Keep pounding.
Real one.
Everybody have a great night, man.
See, dog, we love you, brother.
Make sure you
Appreciate
like
you,
and
man.
subscribe to this great content. And the C3 podcast is the longest running
There it
podcast
is. I knew
on
he was going to
YouTube.
say it. It
Good
is.
night. C-Dog 1983 TV out.
Thank you.
See, dog.
Life
That's
is
our bro
life
right there.
for all of us, brother. We with you. We appreciate your time, your energy, and you one of us. You a real one. You a real one. Cody, do we
Love
got more stuff to
C-Dog,
talk
bro.
about? Or is that it?
No, we have one more thing to talk about this evening to put a cap on the show
What
for
night
tonight.
would be complete without talking about
Oh man, so
my-
last
my
week
real love.
Last week we talked about all the drama pertaining to Cam Newton and the fallout from his comments of calling the 2011 Panthers roster a locker room full of losers. So Steve Smith responded to it. We showed y'all some of those responses, but Cam Newton then responded to Steve Smith and then reiterated a little more as to what he was talking about on his 4th and 1 pod. We'll play this. It's a 3-minute clip, and then we can discuss.
Pick because that was the worst team in the NFL the year before. You're the top pick because
outfit.
team in the NFL the year before. My issue is when I was the first pick, I went into a locker room of losers. Guys didn't know how to win. Guys didn't know how to prepare.
Steve Smith, Sr., all right? He said, I've watched and listened from afar as you, Cam Newton, talked about the Panthers. None of us are perfect. Yes, we were 2-14 before you blessed us with your presence. The way you have talked about the Panthers lately, I'm very disappointed. I wish you nothing.
You got a little problem child vibe going on.
I'm done. 53-man locker room, -1, 52 losers. Wow, breaking news to 89.
When did we become so sensitive? Like when did we become so sensitive to really speaking what the reality is? A locker room full of losers, aggressive, but it's true. I receive what Steve Smith says because, of course, he takes it personal as a competitor that I know he is. He was in that locker room that was 2-14. Jonathan Stewart was in that locker room was 2-14. I'm not specifically talking about those guys. I'm specifically talking about the culture that was there prior to me coming into the locker room, right? And it was a loser's mentality. Even the following year when we went 6-10, there was a lot of losing mentality that was in that locker room.
And that was you on the team.
Including me.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like, you are what your record tells you that you are. They don't care we had a bunch of one-score losses. You lost. Is what I'm saying true? Is it me saying that, oh, when I came, I made everything? No, I never said that. What I said was, if you're getting drafted number 1, you're going to a bad football team. That's facts. Yeah. And that's the point that I was trying to tell Travis Hunter.
He wearing, look at them pants.
And shit, if I'm the only motherfucker that's speaking truth, shit, well, I'll take that. Because ain't nothing that I've ever said was never not backed by merit. I'm not going to bite my tongue. I'm not going to quarrel. I'm not going to sit up here and shrink and take what I said back because it's not. I felt how I felt and I spoke on how I spoke on. Like the team who's awarded a top 5 pick is typically a bad football team.
Yeah, historically, yes.
You have to learn. There's pieces in that locker room that you have to flush out. That's just the nature of everything. Now, did I get an opportunity to speak in depth what I mean? Like, no, bro. Like it's a lot. Like we got to stop this sensitive ass way of thinking. Like everybody's taking everything personal. And if you take it to heart for what I said, it's still the truth. Nobody can sit up there and say, well, I'm a winner. But what's the team's record? It's 2-14. Like I said, yo, the following year, we went 7-9. Do I get to say like, yo, we were winners? No, motherfucker.
Did Cam Newton redeem himself? Yes, he did. I still love that mug.
And again, this was so much better said too. He's like, even the next year or two, when I was on the team, we were still a roster full of losers. And I think that's what came out wrong the first time, right? Is that it just came out as, hey, that was a locker room of losers. And it did come off that way.
It did. It was not diplomatic. It was not, it was, I almost wonder
Cam saying it that way makes it seem like a much more honest, reasonable take that's much less denigrating to his former teammates.
Yeah, but the other part of this is, in all fairness to all the people that were offended, is Cam Newton has now had, like, this response is after a couple of days of being able to kind of tailor his thoughts where I was talking about it last week. I said Cam Newton is not going to come out and apologize and say that he was wrong for saying what he said. I had a feeling that he would come out and say, listen, I was right. There's nothing wrong with what I said. And he didn't even really, apologize for the way that he articulated it. He said it was harsh, but it's true. And while I said last week, I think that he's not wrong in the grand scheme of things. I think he's wrong in the direction he took to this, like the words he used. But that I'm still willing to forgive him based on the fact that Cam Newton has been known to say things in a way that maybe isn't intended to be taken the way that he's saying it. But I am still willing to also look at this as somebody, if I were to look at it from a critical standpoint, this is still somewhat of a tailored answer. He may not have known exactly the words he was going to say, but he's been thinking about it for a couple of days. To pretend like this was the first time he heard Steve Smith say that and have that conversation live. Yeah. He was prepared for that question. They know what was coming up. He knew what he was going to say.
The focus of that podcast, probably.
Yeah. And that's where I think that at this point in time, like, you saw Cam Newton answer that or talk about what he talked about on the spot with no indication that he was going to be talking about that at all. And he just said the wrong thing. I think that's fair. And I think that Cam Newton should be given the benefit of the doubt on that front. I also think that the fact that the vitriol came so quickly from previous teammates tells me that maybe there's some bad blood between a lot of these players that we don't know about, we haven't heard about, and we don't see.
I said that last week. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Steve Smith punched Ken Lucas, who was the top paid free agent that we went and got. We're doing shows. Imagine if you were doing this podcast in 2009 or whatever, and you're like, oh, we just got a shut down corner, and Steve Smith broke his fucking nose in practice, like training camp or something, punched him. Look, I just have learned this is that dogs are dogs, bro. And I don't want no puppy dogs on my team. I don't want no little babies. I don't want none of that. So, look, did it upset the apple cart? Sure. Could he have said it more diplomatically? Totally. I actually wonder, is that Cam Newton embracing the villain role in his podcasting life to a certain degree and leaning into, hey, this is my new life. Let me look like, I mean, I know everybody says he looks ridiculous. He did got a little problem child look with that damn bow tie. Yeah. But Cam is Cam, bro.
But I think Steve is Steve too. And
and he is sensitive too.
Yeah, you've got two alphas. I think you got two alphas here. I think Cam's sensitive.
It's okay to be sensitive, folks.
Cam's sensitive too. He can play, that he's not sensitive there, but when you see how he reacts to not being invited to CMC's wedding and all this stuff, I mean, dude's sensitive. You got two alphas in Steve Smith and Cam Newton. And so there's gonna be some butting of heads, and I think eventually it's gonna all come full circle, and these guys are gonna be able to be rubbing shoulders again, and the Panthers legends conversations as we move forward in the future. But right now, just need some time, and Cam's reintroduction to the Panthers will be sooner rather than later, I believe.
The problem with Cam has always been is he's bigger than life.
Yeah.
He's bigger than the room. It's like you can't remember what he said. He was invited to Christian McCaffrey's wedding. It's like you can't invite him to the wedding. Everybody's gonna be looking at Cam.
Yeah, he's the center of attention. Rock Jones says it's ironic for Cam to be calling someone sensitive.
He is sensitive. I'm sensitive.
It is funny that people said the same thing about Steve Smith.
He was. He is. Have you not seen him on the internet?
That's why this is hilarious, because it's two dudes who are clearly very sensitive about shit, fighting about Really, some old, some old dead shit, dude. But no, I mean, look, Steve Smith threw Baker Mayfield under the bus and then had to walk it back the moment that the Carolina Panthers brought him here. Listen, he's he hasn't batted 1,000 in all of his takes, and the
more you're on the mic, the more opportunity you get to put your foot in your mouth.
Even like the
background and be and quiet and stuff like that, and get away, and everybody can make the narrative. The problem is, the more you talk, the more opportunity that you give, more information. And Cam has put his foot in his mouth a couple of times. He said things that people don't like.
Yeah.
He's still dog, still a dog. Both of these guys are dogs. We still didn't care. I mean, we do. We still love Steve Smith, and he was beating people up in the meeting rooms, dude. So, all right. Is that the show? We got some ice up picks. Don't forget, you can go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com and help support us. Thank you for the C3 love bombs. You go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com, hit the shop tab, buy C3 Panthers Podcast t-shirt, buy the mug, dude. That's like the most affordable option. We make like $1.50 on it. So you go buy 1,000 of these mugs. That's what we need. We need Cam Newton buy 1,000 of these C3 Panthers Podcast mugs. We need you guys just to buy one a week. One a week, not each person. One person per week. Maybe gives us $10. And we do that, and we got to pay. We're going to pay for StreamYard. We're going to pay for StreamYard at some point. Cody Lack, we got one last segment on the longest running Panthers podcast. It's time to ice some fools up. It's our time to tell them to ice up, toughen up, to get it together.
Let's do it.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's our homage to Steve Smith. It's where we get to be sensitive. Fuck that. We're not going to be sensitive. We're going to be ruthless on this internet game. We're going to be ruthless on this internet game where we tell one, we're not going to be sensitive. We're going to punch Ken Lucas right in the nose. It's our time to ice some fools up. Cody Lack, you got anything for us tonight?
I don't have any videos, but I do have 2 ice up stories.
All right.
So if any of you have been online for any length of time, you've probably heard about Bonnie Blue. She's the woman who has been just letting every man possible just run through her in a 24-hour time period.
Oh, God.
It's now being reported. Bonnie Blue, known for sleeping with 1,057 men in under 24 hours, is reportedly pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah, just the dumbest shit in the world. Imagine you're one out of 157, and you're the father of that kid.
Is he gonna get child support?
I don't know. Probably not, huh?
I don't know.
She's
got to make more money than whoever. I would hope. I'm calling for that guy to get paid. He needs to get paid. If he doesn't, he needs to sue whatever birth control company was involved in that situation.
You know who I'm icing up? In that situation?
Tata?
No, that kid. Think about that kid in the future. He's gonna be like, oh, when you were conceived,
God.
It was your mom setting a world record for getting fucked. Like I feel so bad.
Yeah, he needs ice. He needs to carry around the ice pack for his.
Oh man.
For his therapist is gonna hand him the ice every time he walks in.
Sheesh.
All right, Cody. What else you got for us?
Yeah. So my final one. This happened today. A parachutist got stuck 100 feet up on the Mint Museum high-rise building. And
a local ice up.
Yeah, really. First responders rescued a parachutist from a high-rise building in Uptown overnight Monday. They captured footage in the 500 block of South 3rd Street. This is the guy that had to pry from the side of the building.
Is he getting arrested?
That
like a mugshot. That was like a mugshot.
He was Medic confirmed he was uninjured, and officials say they turned the investigation over to the Charlotte Mexican
Illegal base jumping.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Charlotte Fire said crews found Diego suspended 100 feet in the air, hanging from a tangled parachute against the Mint Museum tower. So that'll be a great story for him to tell his grandkids one day. Have the article.
I got this woman pregnant who had 1,000 children, and at the same day, I found out I got arrested by go Diego, go. That's the old Nickelodeon reference for you.
Don't hit the Mint Museum when you're parachuting.
All right, my ice up pick is this. I mean, I could give you the coldest ice up pick, but I'm gonna spare my own mental health and personal life. I laughed at this. Trump reportedly keeps showing White House guests where Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky have sex. I want to know this, though, and this is what I'm icing up about the story. Why white guests? Bill Clinton is a legend with black people. Every time I took a black man into the Oval Office, I'd be like,
says White House guests.
I know. Is that just that headline alone? I was like, this is my
Why is this is before he was even in office the last time.
Oh God, it's from 2019. I just saw it today.
Oh wait, yeah, that was before he was in. No wait,
that was his last.
Yeah, he was in office, but from 20.
That was right at the end.
Yeah,
He's like, look, let me show you where Bill Clinton in this dress thing.
Right over there. That's where he shot.
He was a legend with black people.
All over her skirt.
Oh,
anyway, that's hysterical.
Okay, and my second ice up pick. Let me see if I can get it without. You guys are going to see my bookmarks. I laughed at this post today, and it said, "Why have I never seen a Native American restaurant?" Because sweet. I just laughed at the comments. Hard to find a sous chef. It's hard to get a reservation these days. And then people actually discussing this is guess what is this is what happens when we boil down the world to like Native American, like the diversity of what that word means is so unhelpful. Like, what would be a Native American restaurant? And then people are like, well, every time you go to a taco stand. I mean, so ice up simplifying diverse peoples. And if you think about what Native Americans constitutes, it constitutes probably thousands of tribes in a sense.
Yeah.
I don't know what the number would be, but like just broad strokes, virtue signaling, go find your sous chef. We'll get you a reservation and a casino. Ice up. CK, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I would say political, but I don't think that this is political at all in my mind. And that is the people that are mad at Doge right now for finding like legitimate, cuts in spending and things like that. Like, I know that not everything they do is going to be something that every person agrees with. I'm sure there's things that I would find to be a bit, distasteful to see being cut. But, here's my there's 2 points here. Number one, when you see their press conference today talking about, I think it was today, talking about the number of people that are 300 years old getting Social Security checks still. Is hysterical. Yeah. The amount of people, they legitimately have people that are saying they're 160 years old, and I think he said there was 4 million people or 5 million people that are 130 years old receiving Social Security checks.
Yeah, tens of millions of people, they say, are over the age of 100 that are still being paid Social Security benefits.
Yeah, so we're finding that, and that's something that Doge has been able to find, right? So those little things, but I see the posts online of people getting mad about this department. And number one, it's so hypocritical because every single Democratic, president has had a very similar program where they go through trying to find these, Clinton did it, somebody else did it, but anyway, so like it's hypocritical from that perspective. But the other part of it is like the argument people have is like, if you believe you're about to see a check from any of this, you don't hold your breath. And I'm like, nobody was thinking that we were going to send a check because this money isn't being spent the correct way. But I will tell you this, like if I'm in massive debt, I'm not going out and letting my son continue to spend money on Fortnite V-Bucks, right? Like, doesn't make sense. He's not going to be happy about it when I tell him that he can't have V-Bucks, but I can't keep going on. I'm not getting a refund, but I'm not spending the money anymore, right? The other part of it is like, are you going to let your neighbor continue to use your debit card once you find out that they're using the debit card? Like, no, you're going to try to nip that stuff in the bud. So the people who are upset that we're trying to figure out our national debt situation, which is a huge problem that is going to come to, we talk about the Saints situation with their cap hell that they're getting ready to be in, finally came around and hit them. We're going to be in that situation sooner rather than later if we don't do something about it. So if you're mad about it, I'm telling every single one of you fools, ice up.
You're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast on the interwebs, and really the longest running Panthers podcast that exists. Find one that has done it more consistently and longer than us. And guess what? We'll bring them on as a guest because we love the Panthers. We love y'all listening to us. We love when you smash the thumbs up button, hang out with us, and part of the fam. Cody Lack, my wheelman, CK, my best friends right here, dude. Cody, take us out of here, brother.
C3 Legion. There was no free for all this past Friday. There will be one this Friday.
Love in the air.
Yeah, man. All of us boys had to be good Valentines. But we will be back this Friday at 7 p.m. for another edition of the Free for All. I'm Cody Lashley. That's Tony Dunn. That's our man Codizzle Allen. C3 Legion. Until next time, keep pounding.